Hi again. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. So today we're at Hinksey Heights Nature Reserve and we're going to take a walk round. And what's our topic today, Nick?
We are looking at celebrating not necessarily the big things in life, but the small things and why that matters.
Yeah, and I just think noticing those small things just kind of brings more joy into our lives and also is more sort of encouraging. It sort of encourages us to, keep going.
I mean, I don't know what you're like, but I know something I'm certainly guilty of, and I think Karen is the same, is that there's so many things that we achieve in day-to-day life that often we don't give it the time to actually say, yeah, that was really well done. Well done us.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about going out for a celebratory meal or whatever, not the big things, but actually just sort of taking a moment to recognise, yeah, I did well there.
We're doing okay. And I think particularly giving up work, I'm much, at work I was always being, thanked and appreciated, and then suddenly retirement, you've got no one there validating what you're doing. So we decided we would take action.
A sort of intervention on our own behalf.
Yeah, and I think recognising those little steps forward sort of motivate us. And there's the Chinese proverb, that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And I think it's that single step, that first step, that, creates momentum towards our bigger goals in life.
So can we adapt that to a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a small celebration?
Absolutely. So I was wondering, do you think you celebrate your small successes?
Actually, I'm probably, I alluded to this earlier, I'm actually really bad at doing that, really bad. And even something which counts for maybe quite a major milestone, let's skip past. I know this particularly with the writing. So not only between drafts, but even when I finish a book, I don't really do enough to celebrate. But say when I finish a first draft, the problem is what I'm already doing, and this may resonate with you, my gaze is already lifted to what I've got to do next. And because of that, I sort of blink and miss the moment. So I think that's something I can probably work at, and you can help me sort of, I don't know, at least have a nice cake.
Well, I think there's lots of things to celebrate, like when you get the idea, when you've done the first draft or the second draft, when it's sent off to the editor.
Yeah.
There's lots of things to mark, and I think we need to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Otherwise, you're on this treadmill. You're on this perpetual treadmill, and I'm sure that resonates with a lot of you. And you don't take the time out to say, yeah, well done, pat on the back. And, just celebrate those small successes.
So I was sort of pondering as to why, we do find it so hard to sometimes celebrate our achievements, especially small ones. And I think for myself, maybe it's self-doubt, or that feeling of imposter syndrome that, how did I get here? How did I manage that? Maybe it's not true, it's just a fluke. And then other things, sort of like, just not like being in the spotlight, shining that light on, and don't want to be accused of sort of boasting or sort of getting big-headed.
And, maybe that's the thing in the UK in particular, where we're maybe a bit more shy and retiring about these things, whereas certainly what comes across with American culture, they really celebrate, and people love those success stories.
Yeah.
Whereas we're a bit more reticent, I think, quite often in this country.
And I wonder if that's because when we do open up and say, oh, I did this really well, we're actually, I feel I'm opening to my vulnerability, because I'm almost making myself vulnerable to criticism.
Yeah.
And that obviously doesn't happen with you. I feel 100% supported. But maybe with other friends or something who have done a lot more than me, or achieved a lot more, or done it faster. I might feel that they might be sort of judging me. So I think these are all sort of reasons possibly why I haven't got into the routine more of praising, myself when I do things well. And also, as mentioned before, the structure at work, I got that praise from work, but now I've got to, create it, take time to notice those achievements. And I think notice more of your achievements as well.
Yeah.
So we can celebrate along the journey. It's not just the big goals of retirement or publishing a book or running 5K or whatever it is. It's all those little things that recognize the little steps motivates us then to achieve the bigger goals. So I've been finding out why it's really important to notice these small steps or small achievements along the way, sort of day to day. And one of the things is, if we can actually notice them, our feelings of self-worth and confidence can increase, because we can actually see that we're sort of achieving, and it creates this thing called a positive feedback loop. So the more I can notice I'm achieving, the more motivated I'm going to be, and the more likely I am to continue that and feel good about myself. And I think one of the things with retirement, you can still get burnout if you never stop to celebrate your achievements.
I think that's really true.
It's like, you're saying you're sort of on a treadmill and you never stop to actually celebrate. And I think noticing those positive things, you can sort of give gratitude because you've noticed, and therefore you're combating perhaps frustration of not getting to your goals fast enough, if you're actually noticing the small steps along the way to your goals.
Do you know what? Listening to you talk about that, it reminds me of the whole principle of a gratitude diary, where at the end of the day, you just note maybe 3 or more good things that happened during that day. And again, it's that whole business about you get more of what you focus on. So here, with celebrating the small steps towards maybe a bigger goal, you're doing exactly that. You're just taking mindfulness, I think.
Yeah, and sort of quietening that sort of inner critic that's saying you're not good enough. You're saying, hey, look, I've got this evidence. I am better. And that also links to our brains, which have a negative bias. And I know that if perhaps I ever had a teaching observation and the person watching me said, oh, you could think about this. That sort of spoilt the whole lesson for me. Even though the rest was really, really good, I just remembered that one thing that I could be slightly better at. And I think it links with what you're saying. The more you notice your achievements, the more you're going to notice them.
And I think it's that with paying attention to those positive things, which is key here, because it reinforces the positive in one's life. And really, really important.
It's like, when you decide you want to buy a Mini, suddenly you start noticing Minis everywhere.
Now, what's the part of the brain? Amygdala?
The amygdala, yes.
Amygdala.
And of course, the brain is primed to be notice stress and threat, because that's what keeps us alive. But we can combat that by actually noticing the positives as well. So perhaps sometimes it feels a bit unnatural to celebrate your successes, but we've been doing that, and we're definitely going to create the habit of doing it, because it's definitely bringing moments of joy to us, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Just thinking of yesterday, we've got a car and a van, and neither of us like cleaning it. And we both went out together, we both did it, and we felt so good, having done that.
On a cold, wet winter's day, and we did it. It didn't take very long. There's 2 of you doing it. But yes, celebrating the horrible things.
Getting them done, ticking them off the list, that was great. Another thing we've been celebrating, or we can celebrate after this, is actually getting this filming done. Because we're obviously new to vlogging.
You can probably tell that.
And just the fact that we've got out and done it, that's going to be a major success as well on our journey.
On another cold winter's day.
Got the hat on now, it's got more chilly. So we've also been thinking about what we've learnt by taking time to celebrate our successes. And I think one of those is that actually success might not be a result, it might be the amount of effort you've put in. And when I was teaching, I was always praising the students for their effort and trying to get them to realise the effort they'd put in. because that is enough some days. If you're going through a bad patch, it's enough to get out of bed and put the washing on, enough to make a nutritious meal, or sometimes just enough to get up. So I think we've got to be kind to ourselves. It's not all about results being driven, to really appreciate the amount of effort you're putting in.
And I think, sort of following on from Karen's point on that, I think for me, well, for everybody, for all of us, sometimes intentionally sort of slowing down and noticing the small advances and steps that gets us towards that bigger goal. And I suppose it is that classic phrase of that, you know, success is a journey, not a destination. Life is a journey, not a destination. So, you know, it's very much that. You need to be
enjoying the process,
enjoying the moments, enjoying the steps along the way.
Exactly. And I think also we are feeling genuinely that we're achieving more because we're taking time out with each other. And I might ask Nick, you know, what's gone well for you today, and I say well done, and you know, treat ourselves to a Netflix movie or something, just sort of celebrating those little moments together, as well as gaining insight into what our strengths are.
Absolutely.
And appreciate them. And maybe finally, just aiming for progress, not perfection, appreciating we don't have to be perfect. We don't have to have done masses.
I think that's a really big thing for both of us, because we're such perfectionists. We really are. You might not be able to tell that from the videos, but we really are. And I, you know, to back off and rather than reshoot something like 30 times to get the perfect take.
Yeah.
Just roll with it and see what comes out.
We're doing our best. So we are going with it, and we're highly critical, but we're also appreciating the elements of that we feel are quite good in the videos as well. And it's a learning process.
It's a learning process. And
we're going to enjoy it as we go along and celebrate the small successes.
And I think probably on that note, we're going to sign off now, head back. We'll probably watch a Sunday afternoon movie on Netflix or something, cuddled up. So see you soon. You take care now.
Bye.